The internet is packed full of videos ranging from funny to heartwarming to downright chilling. In fact, there's an entire side of the web dedicated to unexplainable and unsettling videos that make their viewers question the world around them. These 5 videos include mysteries that have yet to be debunked. Number 5. The Paris Catacombs are a well-known underground location full of human remains and dark twisting pathways. The catacombs cover a vast area of Paris and have become the source of many unexplained mysteries and Hollywood horror stories. Most of the catacombs are legal to enter on your own, but that doesn't stop the countless explorers that dive into the dark underground every year to explore as much as they can of the nightmare-filled destination. A plethora of catacomb videos have been published over the years, but some are more unsettling than others to say the least. For example, this video was taken by an unidentified man that traveled into the catacombs on his own without the help of a guide, and he was ultimately forced to face his fate. Before his end, though, he captured this footage on his video camera, which was later discovered by travelers and officials. The current earliest upload of this video online comes from 2016, but it was actually filmed many years before that and simply took time to be released to the public and uploaded to the web. The exact date of the footage and important details pertaining to the victim have not yet been released. This particular cut of the video comes from a special that aired on ABC Family, in which a documentary investigation covered the illegal world of catacomb travel. This clip compiles the most important highlights of the overall footage and features an expert in the catacombs deconstructing the man's travels. It shows him walking from the dark and deserted halls and spaces. He comes across a series of arrows that seem to be pointing in the proper direction to eventually make his exit. It was later discovered that this was obviously untrue, and the arrows were placed randomly across the path to confuse the traveler. It's unclear who exactly created the arrows, as it seems unlikely that other travelers would wish to confuse a fellow adventurer. The man in this video crosses paths with many pieces of human remains, and he even shows small rooms dug into the walls filled with bones, rodents, and much more. Near the end of the overall video, the victim is startled by something and begins running through the halls. Some say it may have been an animal that found its way in the catacombs, or perhaps it was another explorer. However, an even bigger and more common theory is that something sinister and supernatural showed itself and chased the man down with intent to harm him. Of course, the footage doesn't give the audience much of an answer, and thus the video remains a mystery. Number 4. A 24-year-old woman from Chester, England, named Rebecca mysteriously disappeared while aboard a Disney cruise ship. Rebecca was a staff member on the ship when she went missing on March 21, 2011. On this day, she missed the beginning of her shift and was swiftly searched for by the staff. Realizing that something terrible must have been at play, cruise guests were informed of the disappearance and were urged to keep an eye out for the young woman. Several hours passed and she still wasn't located. A deeper investigation was sparked, which uncovered CCTV footage taken a few hours before her shift in the employee lounge. The video showed Rebecca talking on the phone during what appeared to be a heated and highly emotional conversation. Unfortunately, the video didn't offer any more answers as to the woman's whereabouts, and it soon became clear that she was obviously not on the ship at all. There are countless theories pertaining to the woman's disappearance, but it seems that despite the heavily covered area of surveillance cameras, footage of Rebecca falling, jumping, or being pushed overboard has been impossible to find. After the vanishing was made public by the Disney Public Relations Department, Rebecca's family, police officials, and even the general public have speculated that the company knows more than they're letting on. The case is still considered an open investigation, and Rebecca is still missing to this day, although most believe she lost her life on the same day she disappeared. It should also be mentioned that the phone call adds to the even thicker layer of mystery to the overall case, because it suggests that Rebecca was facing turmoil in her life that could have even been work-related. Number 3. This footage gives the viewer a front row seat to a mysterious abduction that occurred on February 13, 2017. Raymond Coe was a Malaysian Christian pastor who was known for his controversial views against increasing Islamic law to help keep the state more conservative. Although many saw his life's work as positive and wholehearted, there were many citizens and public figures that disagreed with him so strongly that they would be considered as enemies. That hatred was finally captured on camera when this CCTV footage filmed the distant view of Raymond's abduction. While it seems capturing such a thing on video would be useful to a missing persons investigation, it simply turns the entire search around and makes things even more difficult. After this footage was discovered, the police were no longer just looking for a missing man. They were looking for a man that had been snatched up by criminals and possibly had his life taken from him. Raymond left home one day to travel to a friend's place, according to his family. While traveling along his usual route, Raymond crossed an overpass in a location that he frequented. This day was unlike any other for the victim, though. While it may be difficult to see in the grainy footage, others have confirmed that at least 15 men were seen exiting the back of a black SUV as Raymond passes them. They all ambush the traveler and force him into one of their vehicles. Overall, the entire abduction seems like something straight out of an action movie. Upon investigating this abduction, officials came to a flurry of possibilities to explain the kidnapping. From Raymond's personal issues in his family life, to his opposed views of strict laws, to the prospect of kidnapping for ransom, there's still no way to know for sure, and to determine what goals these mysterious men had exactly. Since he vanished, there have been no public statements or demands aired by his abductors, which does rule out one of a few theories, but still brings investigators not a single step closer to the end goal of finding Raymond. Many sadly believe that he already lost his life in the 3 years that he's been gone, but others, including his family, have faith that he's been kept alive to give these men some kind of leverage in their crimes, such as public outreach or plea bargains. Number 2. When someone loses a loved one that took their own life, it's natural to want to turn to any other explanation by using denial to cope with the loss. Many people believe that that's the case with Magdalena Zook's family. The 27-year-old Polish beautician allegedly jumped to her fate while on a vacation in Egypt in April of 2017. Records rule that her passing was ruled as self-inflicted, and her family has fought that assumption ever since. Although skeptics have their doubts that any foul play was involved, there's an entire side to the story that leads others to support her family's theory that Magdalena actually had her life taken from her, as she was being manipulated and crazed by a man that she was away with. Magdalena had no intention to travel on this journey alone at first. She planned on taking her boyfriend Marcus with her for a romantic getaway to a popular tourist location at a fancy beach resort in Marsa Alam. Unfortunately for the happy couple, Marcus failed to renew his passport in time and it was too late for a refund, so the young woman reluctantly traveled alone. After arriving at her destination, she found a local guide to help her in the new and unknown cities and beaches, named Mahmoud. Just a few moments after meeting this man and leaving the airport, Magdalena sent a series of very confusing and concerning text messages to her friends and family back home. The messages are obviously in Polish, but according to those that read the language, she failed to produce a single fully coherent sentence. Things became even more baffling when Magdalena used Mahmoud's phone to take a FaceTime call with her family. This call was documented by another camera recording the conversation. The poor tourist is already crying uncontrollably when the call begins. She's not only distraught, but completely traumatized and terrified. She mumbles sentences that hardly make any sense, mostly begging for her family to come get her. By this time, a relative was already on their way to help her, but their arrival would take a significant amount of time. Although it's been debated, in one segment of the video call, Magdalena seems to claim that she's been assaulted by a group of men accompanying her and Mahmoud. 2 days later, on the third day of her week-long trip, Magdalena was found jumping from a high level of the hotel resort. An investigation was sparked, and CCTV footage from the local hospital showed Magdalena being dragged into the psych ward by Mahmoud. She's clearly upset in the footage and spends her time screaming, trying to escape and fighting off the staff. Of course, this video helps confirm the idea that the young woman took her own life, but others see it as another step of manipulation and control that these strange men forced onto her. It's been argued that anyone would be freaking out by this point, after arriving in a foreign country where they can't understand anyone, being assaulted, and then nearly being hospitalized against their will. Number 1. Marilyn Bergeron was a Canadian woman who vanished mysteriously on February 7, 2008. She left her parents' home under the impression that she was going for a simple walk, but things took a shocking turn during her time away and she never returned home. She was last seen on camera at a local store withdrawing cash from the ATM, and about 5 hours after she departed from home, witnesses spotted her at a local coffee shop. The two sightings were the last time that she was ever seen alive, and they seem to only contribute to the growing mystery of her disappearance. Once she was reported missing, a huge search was conducted for the young woman, which led officials to discover information regarding her last known whereabouts. According to police reports, these sightings seemed like nothing out of the ordinary at first. However, a deeper look into the details of the ATM footage revealed that something sinister was likely at play. Marilyn had apparently left all of her belongings at home, including most of her identification papers and cards. The only item she took with her was her credit card. Despite that, the video shows her wearing a backpack full of unknown items as she attempts to withdraw $60 from her account. As soon as she approaches the machine, she begins looking around wildly, specifically looking behind her back so many times that it seems like she's overcome with paranoia and was likely being watched by an unidentified person. Although she had the funds available in her account, according to bank statements, the machine declined her request several times, and she ultimately left empty-handed. Some have theorized that this withdrawal was part of a drug deal, as she may have been looking around her to see if her dealer was watching. There's been no substantial evidence to confirm or deny this theory. But about 5 hours later, Marilyn was seen at a nearby coffee shop, and statements showed that she purchased a single drink. Some witnesses that recall having seen her that day explained that even in the calm and cool shop, she seemed uncomfortable, paranoid, and even slightly depressed. It's unclear where Marilyn traveled after this, but she was never seen again. There have been a handful of reported sightings that occurred the year following her vanishing act, but none have been confirmed to be true or accurate. Therefore, the case of Marilyn's disappearance remains unsolved and unsettling, and the confusing and strange footage has yet to be explained and possibly never will be. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But I've been Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.